at Noonan ahead of DC United this weekend. Laurel, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I guess since teenage is back, I'd like to start there. I know those processes can be kind of up in the air. You don't know how they're going to go exactly, but is there any relief in having him back? And then how is he doing physically?
It's good to have him back. Because of the injury, it wasn't rushed. So this was a situation where, for his own sake and his family's sake, you hope that it's a smooth process and not too stressful, and he can return to the group. So he's back now, but he's still, dealing with an injury. And that made it, I think, less urgent based on his timeline to be back on the field. So he'll be out there today, but, he's still a couple weeks away. I think that answers it. Okay.
I guess while we're on injuries, Evander, can you update us on how he's doing specifically and then kind of go through some of the other ones?
Evander's day-to-day, it's really just, I don't want to say just pain tolerance because it's, there's some discomfort there, but it was on the play where he's taking a shot and, MCL related, but it's really, what he can withstand as far as kicking, receiving, and so that's why I say day-to-day. It's, when he feels he's comfortable enough to be out there helping the team, and, he's pushed himself linear, fitness-wise, and in a linear way, but he's got to, get past the with the ball stuff to be helping us. So each day that goes by, he feels better. It's just a matter of when he's going to be ready to be in tackles and be playing, balls over distance, and that's still to be determined as far as when we overcome that hurdle.
And what about Obi and Yuya, and then Matt being on the bench on Saturday? Is he in a spot where maybe he could see some minutes?
Yes. Obi progressing well. I think that'll be more a game time decision, but that's trending in a positive way. Yuya is, I would say more unlikely based on not wanting to rush where he's at. There was a minor setback with how he felt and pushing him in a good way, and then feeling a little bit of tightness. So we'll probably be a little bit more cautious there. If things change in the next, 24, 36 hours, maybe he's available, but we'll see. And then, Matt's progressing a good way. He'll. It's a matter of how we find time to get him minutes. That might just be throwing him out there, and it might be trying to get games at the right time to push his fitness with FCC too. But with Matt, I don't know how much we'll look into doing that. I think he could be thrown out there and be just fine if that's the case.
Good morning. Before we dive into DC, I wanted to ask about last week with Luca's angle. I think you highlighted his performance, the collective defense's performance post-game, but he was named to the team of the week this week. And I was curious, is there something about his skill set or his ability as a player that particularly suits him to being able to move into that center back spot for you, and how does that help your team?
Well, just how we play in different ways with maybe a different attacking structure than a defensive structure in game. He's played in a back four. There are moments when he's playing as a left center back that he defends in a very similar way. So there's not a whole lot different there. Maybe with the ball, as far as his positioning, that's a little bit new, being deeper and being the one to break pressure more than receiving passes, in more advanced positions. But I think his reading of the game allows him to really help us with the ball from a deeper position and find the right passes and be, composed in pressure moments. So I think that's why he was able to perform in a good way despite being in a different position than we've, kind of positioned him in previous games. But he's an experienced player and can adapt. And so, when we went through this recruitment process, this was part of it. Can he play this position if we need him to? And clearly, with where we've been in the center back position and some injuries, that was needed, and I think he did an excellent job.
On DC, I'm curious about your perspective on their club entirely, but particularly on a guy like Christian Benteke and how strong he is, particularly in the air. What are some of the things that you guys can do to kind of prepare for that and counter how talented he is there?
He's excellent. Such a strong player. Of course, we talk oftentimes about the aerial threat that he is when they play direct. As far as attacking the box in crossing moments, there's few that are better. And we've talked just about the difficulties of the direct aspect of it, the wide service and picking him up in the box. I mean, this isn't just league-wide strength. He's one of the best in the world at doing this. So it's a tough task, but there'll be different aspects of the game and our play where, it'll be the center backs on set pieces, maybe putting another guy on him to try to limit his impact. So, but on top of those strengths, he's a very smart player. He can control the ball in a way and hold players off in a way that allows, their group to move up the field. Defensively, very honest player, does a good job with how they initiate their press. So I don't think he gets enough credit for that because he puts in the work on both sides of the ball. Very, very good player.
With DC coming off such a tough loss, does that make them any more dangerous? Just when you have a team that's going to be obviously feeling some kind of want to prove themselves again.
It's hard to answer because I'm on the other side, but it could be a motivated group. It could be a group lacking confidence. No idea. What we expect is for them to make life very difficult for us, playing at home and coming off of a loss, whatever the scoreline is, But we won't look too much into the fact that they lost the game and thinking that, life's going to be easier for us. I just don't think that's a smart approach to it. They're motivated to win games like every team. So we have to think about, the challenges that they pose with how we approach the game on both sides of the ball. So there are things from their last game that, maybe they got punished for or didn't do particularly well that, could flip against us in similar scenarios. So we just have to try to focus on how we want to expand on and improve on our last performance, but understand that the game's going to look different. And how do we adapt to that?
What are some ways that you can get Luca going? Seems like he's, there, getting more chances. What do you need to see from him?
I mean, if he scores the goal that gets blocked against Nashville, if he scores the goal where he gets in behind, I think we're talking about it different ways. So when we say get him going, if we're just talking about production, it's goals. But he's been in really good spots. He's been really effective for us outside of maybe the goals and assists. So I guess it's just the end product is the only change that we could ask of him, because the work that he's putting in, the chances that he's creating, some of it's being unlucky, some of it he has to be better. But I would say getting him going is a goal, and I think that'll certainly help his confidence and his teammates. But I'm not too concerned with him if he's getting into these spots. It's just seeing him finish plays off.
He seemed pretty confident with trying a Rabona. When you have a player like that, he's clearly very creative. He's taken risks before, and it has paid off. Is there a balance of you maybe how you handle not wanting to hold him back from that creativity, but also maybe having him simplify things. Is there a balance there?
I like guys being creative and taking chances in the right way. I didn't know it even happened live. I couldn't tell from the angle, and so we addressed it where you don't want to take that away from players, but understand the moment. And if it's to do it in a way that is, being a showboat, then it's for me the wrong reason. But I don't think that was his intent. I think he thought his touch was too far, and the only way he could, in that moment, get to the ball was by trying that, and that was his instinct. So, looking back at it, maybe he could have taken it with his right foot, but I think he plays the game in the right way and takes chances in the right way, and that's the first time we've seen that. And so what I've said to the group is, don't lose that creativity, but understand the moment and understanding when to try to be creative and how. So I have no issues.
Pat, in your last road game, you guys got your first road victory of the season. Were there any lessons or takeaways that you hope to have from that experience? It's a 2-game winning streak now, but from that experience in particular, going on the road this time to replicate the result?
Which road game?
Nashville.
Did you say? Nashville?
Yeah.
Not really. I think there'll be two different games. Certainly components of the structure of the opponent that'll be similar, I think. But like we've seen before, even though we anticipate something, it doesn't mean that's what we're going to see. And so you got to be ready for different things. If that's the case, a similar, I would say, defensive structure, and at times similar structure with the ball. But from game to game, you're just trying to see the differences of how a team plays and, their different environments. So we won't look too much at the Nashville game to guide us in this DC game. It's more understanding how to go and perform on the road and have consistency not only in your play but in positioning yourself to go and win games. So new game, new challenge.
This is a little bit more broad of a question, but I'll frame it in terms of this week. DC plays San Jose last week, has that result. San Jose is obviously coached by Bruce Arena, a coach you're very familiar with. More generally speaking, when you're watching a team or looking at a team's recent results and they're playing against a coach you're familiar with, is there more stuff you can take away from those kinds of games because of how familiar you are with the coach, or is with any coach really, but in this time specifically?
If I want to pick up the phone and call Bruce, that's the difference is knowing a coach. Hey, what did you take away from the game? And so that's always something that you have in your back pocket if you want to go that route. But what I look at is what was San Jose's structure and what was DC structure. What are the similarities to what we or how we might approach the game? That's kind of how I look at those things.
With Kevin Denkey, I spoke with him the other day, and I know people have kind of noticed it's been a little while since he's scored from open play, and he kind of said, well, I scored against Nashville, like that still counts. What are you seeing from him that is lacking just in open play? What does he need to do to be finding some of those goals in those situations?
Yeah, it's not all Kevin. It's his teammates in crossing moments need to be better. We've talked about that. I think the recognition of running in behind, like you saw in the Nashville game, the timing of that movement, in being ready to stretch the opponent or just expose spaces behind. I think that can be more consistent. I think his hold-up play is consistently improving. He's been very effective in that and understanding in certain moments how he receives and how he incorporates his teammates to then impact how he can run in the box. I think those are things that can help him, but I like the fact that he doesn't look at it as I need to score an open play. He's scoring a couple PKs, which is always good for a striker, and however he's scoring, if it's helping us, win games, I think he'll be happy. We'll all be happy. But yeah, in a perfect world, he's scoring all the time in the run of play because we're getting him the ball in the right spots. But that's not reality. We just have to continue to put him in a position and and then his teammates and himself understanding the right movements and the right actions at the right time to finish off a play.
How unique is he just in terms of players that you've coached? Just he's so regimented and like his, just going to the sauna and gym work, like everything he does just seems so machine-like. Have you had a player like that?
I have. There's, to an extent, I would say, Harris Medunjanin was one of a kind, and Kevin's in that bucket where how they prepare themselves mentally and physically to be at their best is what separates them from others. They're great pros, and Kevin has a good routine to prepare himself. And, as a coach, it makes life very easy as far as how you think about and worry about your players' preparation. I don't have to worry about that at all. We don't have to worry about that. And now it's, like I said, our job to put him in a position on the field to have an impact. And, he's hungry to improve. He's hungry to help this team. And that's fun to work with.
I was just going to ask, just because the window is open for a couple of weeks. I know I asked you earlier, and then you guys ended up adding Brad Smith. Is there anything else that could be on the horizon? Do you feel like you could benefit from another addition at this point?
I won't get into specifics, but we've been looking and having conversations about how to strengthen the group. So whether something happens or not remains to be seen, but we've had plenty of conversations and meetings about strengthening the group.
Pat, it's Masters weekend. 2 questions. 1, do you have a favorite pick for this weekend? And 2, if you could put together a foursome to play Augusta National, who would you put together? With yourself, obviously, being.
Oh, geez. The favorite, I didn't really do enough research. I love watching the tournament. I'd like to see Rory win it to finish off the majors. I believe that is the case. He has to win it. Okay. So Rory, if I had to choose a foursome, are we talking golfers or anybody in
Just to play with you at Augusta.
to play with me? I would say Will Ferrell's joining that foursome. I think a professional golfer to help us out would be nice. So I'll bring Rory, and then if we have to fill up that last spot, maybe I'll bring a friend with me. So I don't know who that is. Or maybe I'll bring my son. I'll bring Maxwell.
Perfect.
So there's my foursome. That on the spot foursome.
I think it's good.
Okay.
Pat, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.